Hello and welcome, I'm Tim and this is TimBatSea. Today we've discharged, or I should say the day before, we've discharged a little over 2 million gallons of jet fuel at Key West, and we are getting ready to get underway. So we're made up alongside, heads and tails on the wire. So this means that we're going to be actually running the barge backwards until we get ready to string it out. So we'll be made up alongside, and our wire going from the actual bow of the barge is going to the actual stern of the tug. And the reason why I say actual is that when tugs and barges are together, the barge bow and stern are in relationship to the tug. So basically, what we're looking at here is the actual stern of the barge, but we call this the bow of the barge because the bow of the tug is headed this way. Some people might even call it the working bow, but it's the actual for me. So anyway, that's that, and we are getting ready to come off the dock. And in doing so, I've just kind of sped it up a little bit, but now we're back to normal speed. But we've gotten a pilot aboard. We've got 2 assist tugs to help us out. We don't need these tugs, but we need them to be compliant. Because we're in a marine sanctuary, they need redundancy for help just in case anything happens. The agent is there to make sure everything's okay. The pilot is aboard. There are line handlers on there. So this is quite an operation. And many people have wondered, why are we taking jet fuel to Key West? Some people think that that's a little silly. Why doesn't it go to the airport and that sort of stuff? This actually is not going to the airport. This is we're on a contract that basically moves fuel for the military. And in this case, I believe we're at a Coast Guard dock, and the Coast Guard, jet fuel is basically very clean kerosene, which can be burned in a diesel engine. So perhaps the Coast Guard uses it, I don't know, and some of their bigger cutters, the offshore ones, use gas turbines, so that would make sense. But I believe, and I don't know this for a fact, but I believe that there's a pipeline that runs from here all the way to Naval Air Station Key West, which would explain why there's so much jet fuel going there. And in this case, a little over 50,000 barrels, a little bit over 2 million gallons of jet fuel. We've pumped it off. We're ready to go. The tankerman had it pumped off the night before, but once again, because of the environment is such a fragile ecosystem that not only are we required to have pilots and two assist tugs, but we're also required to do daylight transit onlys. So we're doing this on the daylight transit. As you can see, we are coming off the dock, and in order to do this, I have the assist tug up there pulling on that end of the barge. Meanwhile, I am doing what we would call a left twist. That's the right or starboard engine ahead, the port or left engine astern, and the rudder hard over to port or to the left hand side. And the reason what that does is, had I not had a tugboat, an assist boat up there helping, it would bring the bow of the working bow of the barge into the dock and the stern where I'm tied up out. But because he's doing it, it's counteracting him, and we're able to pull everything out sideways. So right now I probably told him to go all stop, and I start working ahead slowly. So I stop on my reverse engine and start coming ahead with both engines, and making sure that I don't fall into this corner. You can see that little teeny tug there. That's the a tug just in case our assist tug breaks down or something else goes on. So they're in a capacity of a Plan B capacity. So that's what they're over there. So the deckhand and the tankerman at this point are calling me off the corner, letting me know if I'm closing down. Because when I'm made up like this, and especially with a tugboat that's tied up that I'm just dragging along like this, we don't go straight. in line of the barge. We're actually crabbing, and we're crabbing a little ways to the left all the time, or to the port. So as I clear that, I'll start to add power. I'll have the assist tug just standing by, and when we get out through the buoys a little bit further, we'll go and let him go. But for now, he's just along for the ride. And it sounds a little strange. We didn't have any wind this day. It was a beautiful day. Everything was fine. So it's not that important. But sometimes having an assist tug with a line up that you just drag along helps dramatically, because it goes and helps you with the by adding weight up there. So in other words, the working stern, the working bow, or the actual stern of the barge, while I'm pushing it backwards, won't get blown all around. Just the added weight up there makes things a little bit more manageable. But in this case, it wasn't necessary, but we took him along anyway, just to be on the safe side. We're paying him anyway, and he's going to stay with us all the way till we get out on the wire. I say on the wire. We're made up on the wire right now. This is what we call a 3-part makeup. So we've got a bow line, and a shoulder strap, and a stern line, and then the wire's made up too. But I don't have any pressure on the wire right now, because just puts it's not that it puts unneeded pressure on the wire. It's that, see this wake that's coming? That doesn't look like much, but that will cause the tug and the barge to move independently, and there's no give in the wire, no give whatsoever, as opposed to the soft lines. There's a little bit of give, so it acts as a shock absorber. And so those when you're talking about a barge that might weigh over 2,000 tons when it's light, and meaning there's no product in it, and a tugboat that might weigh a few hundred tons, when they get out of step, or just a little roll from that, can put tremendous shock loads on things that don't give. So that's a lot of times where we like to use a soft line. The soft line will stretch just a little bit, and I mean, it sounds odd, but even just stretching an inch will reduce the load almost probably by half or so. I don't know exactly how much, but quite a bit. But anyway, we're making our way. And as you can see, I've sped up things just to keep this video moving along, but we're moving along and everything's going great. And I think that when I get up here, I'm going to have the tankerman go over and let the line go on the tug. And as I get more and more speed on, I'll have more and more control of the barge. So needing the tug up there is less, is less and less of a thing. So there you go. You can see the little smoke on the tug. So he is coming ahead, takes the pressure off the line. Tankerman is releasing the line, and the assist tug is away. Now we're on our own. Fun little fact, if you've ever been to Key West, just in front of this cruise ship over here, we're passing where Mallory Square is, where many people go to see the street performers perform during sunset, and everyone looks for the infamous green flash. But we continue out. We're going to get by everything, and the plan is to get up to it's kind of a commercial anchorage, but I don't know how many people anchor there, but we're going to go up there and let the barge go and get on the wire then. That's what we're doing. But in the meantime, you can see everything here. I think they call this area the Navy dock up here. Key West is a beautiful place. Seems to have changed over the years, but I suppose I have too, for that matter. I guess those things change, but Key West is beautiful. It can be pretty pricey. I was surprised. We went there in my sailboat a couple of years ago, and I guess I shouldn't have been surprised, but a very heavily business, an area that relies a lot on tourism you would expect to be very expensive, but it was very expensive. Like $22 for a drink and $24 for a hamburger, that sort of stuff. So it didn't take too long before we were ready to go somewhere else after that. I think we spent 3 or 4 days there, and it was quite a bill. But always beautiful. People are great. There's a fun spirit about Key West. I think that Key West traditionally has been known for its alternative lifestyle community, which I think it still is, but it certainly is not the way it was maybe, when I was when I was much younger, I'd come down here, and I really felt like being a minority, that I was in the minority being a straight person in Key West. And I don't think that's the case anymore. And talking with the pilot had moved down there, and he said, Key West has this reputation, but it's probably got the same percentage of alternative lifestyle people living there than anywhere else. But I don't know if any of that's true, but found that interesting. And like I said, Key West is wonderful, other than being expensive. And, today was no different in that the weather was fantastic, the conditions were just right, everything was cool, and we get going here. It's funny, there's somebody who keeps watching my videos, and who's ever you know who you are, who you're out there. He always trolls me in the comments. And that's fine. I love it. The more engagement I get, the more engagement points I get. So that's all. You're doing me a favor, buddy. But he likes to say that I won't shut up. And you know what? He's right. I have to keep talking. I mean, I don't have to, but I'd like to, because I can't talk while I run the boat anymore. If you remember, the format of the videos has changed, because that's what our industry demands, and that's what we're doing. And if he doesn't like the things I have to say, then he can obviously mute his screen or turn the volume down. But I apologize if I talk too much to the people that aren't the haters. But anyway, maybe better than a little bit of dead air. But we're just coming up to the end of where we're doing our time, sped things up. And we're back to normal speed. You can see Gordon, our tankerman, has just thrown the ball out with the line. And what this is the retrieval line, emergency pickup line. I've said this in another video, but you can see this big long wire running down the side of the deck where he's walking up on the outboard of the handrails there. That goes from the front to the back in case we break the wire. Something happens, we can go over there and pick up that buoy, and then you pull it out, and a whole lot of line comes. A small line goes to a bigger line, and then the bigger line goes to the end of that, and we winch that on, hook it onto the tug, and away we go. So that's kind of how a safety line works. Now the camera has been repositioned to show the stern of the tug. There's Gordon going back, and the first thing we're going to do is take in the stern line, which is off of what we call the suitcase drum. If you notice, we have a double drum winch, so there's two independently controlled winches back there. The one on the right has a soft line on top of wire, and the one on the left, and it's actually the starboard one, which is on our left right now because we're looking backwards, but the starboard one is all wire, and that's what we tow on. And the one on the port, which is actually on the right side, is this one that we're working on. We call it the suitcase drum, and there's wire underneath a whole bunch of synthetic line, and we use that as a soft line, and we're bringing in we're bringing in the stern line right there. You can see the chief is pulling it out. One of the problems that soft line has, if you say, why don't you use soft line for everything, is that it buries itself in when it goes under load, where the wire won't compress, so wire won't bury itself in. So sometimes when you're pulling it up, it gets stuck, and you have to kind of work at it. So right now they're going forward. I'm sorry I don't have any video to show you this, but they'll take in that towing strap, which is a line amidship, and then they'll take in the bow line. And just to go over this one more time, I've done this in many other videos. If you have interest in this, go back. I think we got almost 300 videos up there for you guys to see. But to tell you how this works, there's a double headline, and the reason why it's a double headline is that headline is the most important line, because if something goes wrong, if any line breaks, if anything happens and I need to get way off the barge, I have to back, and only the headline is going to stop that. The headline in this configuration also will help if we do a right-hand turn, because it will pull. If we do a left-hand turn, it won't matter because the bow will push in. Then behind that, there'll be a towing strap, which will be a single or double. If it's a strap, it's it's a big circle, or if it's a single line, that's fine too. But that just goes from the barge up to the forward cleats on the chocks on the side of the boat, and that's really, that gives you when you go forward, that's what pulls the barge along. Excuse me. Excuse me. Anyway, the stern line is not to tow on. The stern line is only to keep the stern from popping out. And so if you do a left-hand turn, that stern will want to come out. So you can even have that tow line go straight across, perpendicular to the tug. That's all it's there for. If you back, you're using the headline. If you go forward, you're using the towing strap. And the stern line's only for a left-hand turn. When you do a right-hand turn, it doesn't really matter because the stern will compress against there. But anyway, we've got everything in. So the next thing that we do is I'm waiting for the boys. They're moving the donut over, so you can see they got one guy on either side. That's a great big heavy. There's two of these, and we like to have one on one side and one on the other, so we can pick up the donut when we put her on the wire. So now they got one on either side. It's preloaded. I've got my rudder hard over to port, and I'll put some wire out, twist the bow in and the stern out, and that will just give me a little bit of angle so I won't fall in underneath the bow of the barge. Now, instead of twisting, I'm backing more, so I'm starting to go. You're going to lose the sight of the barge, but we're backing out in front. You can see the wire is almost perpendicular. We have little hooks that keep them from going any further, so that's what the wire's fine. But I can't just dump a lot of... I can, but if I dump a lot of wire, that wire is going to sit on the bottom, and we don't want to do that, because in case it catches something on the bottom, it could destroy the wire or destroy our day anyway. So now, as I get out in front of it, I start twin screwing around, and remember that the wheels are basically underneath the Texas bar. That bar goes from one side to the other, and the wire is way forward of that. And even though our wheels, we have 8-foot wheels here, but even though they're encased in quart nozzles, I still get nervous about getting the wire in the wheel. So as I start rotating around, I'm coming around the barge. The barge is going to pop up on the right-hand side of the screen here, and you're going to see me start coming ahead from that. And the idea is that when I do that, I'm only using that starboard engine, and that way I don't have to worry about getting the wire in the wheel. And there are many people that I work with that say it's next to impossible to get the wire in the wheel when you have quart nozzles protecting the propellers. But you know what? This is the way I've always done it, and so I continue to do it, to err on the side of safety. So now you can see I'm really coming ahead hard with my port engine to really get that stern moving. And right about now, as that wire, and the wire is going straight back to the barge, so it's nowhere near the propeller, but I've gone all stop and I'm just letting everything settle in right now. And I need to get further. One of the things, a mistake I make too often is to get right in front of the barge. And then when that does it, see where the wire is going up and it goes right around the transom and falls into the donut? That's all fine and dandy. The problem is if I'm right in the middle of the barge, the wire will come up and it will actually grab on part of the rub rail, which is there's a rubber fender that goes around the boat, and it gets stuck in a notch there. So that's something that we really don't want to do. So anyway, at this point, it's just adding power. And while I'm working in the doghouse doing this, Chip will be up in the wheelhouse, and he'll be getting us. He'll take the steering and get us back in the channel, and I'll start making way and putting more wire out. So that's about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like these videos or get anything out of them, I sure would appreciate a like, subscribe, and who knows, if you're really into it and you want to support the making of these videos, become a patron for a couple bucks a month, and you get ad-free content and early release and some other stuff too, private videos and that sort of stuff related to that. And don't forget, please, if you haven't, really help me out. Help a brother out. On my other channel, even if you're not into sailing, I'm not a sailor. I'm a tugboat guy that happens to have a sailboat. So come on over to SV Paquita. I'll put links in the descriptions for all this. You guys take care, be safe, and as always, I'll see you on the one.